Hi, this is Sweet June. How's everybody doing today? Um, just woke up. Oh, so tired. I had a rough night at work last night. So tired. Just got up. Hoping everybody's having a blessed day so far. I know that you guys have heard about this story about this man in Atlanta. If I'm saying his name right, Rayshard Brooks. Um, he was killed by the police down there. Um, and there's some outrage that's going on down there right now because, especially during this time, where shortly after George Floyd's death and all the protesting and all that's going on, the Black Lives Matter movement. There's a lot going on right now with that, and so this happens at this particular time when all this stuff is going on, but I'm a little on the fence about this particular case here, this story. I'm a little bit on the fence about it. I just got done watching San Fe. You guys get a chance to get over there. Her channel's called San Fe Don't Play. She is so funny. She's hilarious. Um, if you get a chance, get over there and check her out. I just got done watching her video um, about the situation, and she was making some really, really good points. And I told her in the comment section that I'm a little bit on the fence about this because um, it looks like now when I look at the video, they said that he was in a Wendy's parking drive-through, and he was just sitting there and he was sleeping. So Wendy's called the police. They didn't know what was going on. Um, he was just sitting in the drive-through. So the police pulled up, and he was just sitting in the car sleeping. So I guess the police officers told him to move his car because he was just sitting in the drive-through. He was blocking the drive-through. So I guess apparently he moved his car to the side, and the police, felt like the need to further investigate the situation because they was wondering why he was in the car sleeping like that. They wondered, okay, is he drunk? What's under the influence of anything? What's going on? It appeared in the beginning that the police were doing their job. It looks like on the video that in the beginning that everything was they were the officers were doing what they were supposed to do. They wasn't being belligerent towards him. They wasn't beating on him. They seemed to be the officers appeared to be doing their job in the beginning, and he was appearing to comply in the beginning. And then all of a sudden, I guess things escalated. Apparently, things escalated. He um, they were going to give him a breathalyzer or something like that. So I guess he hit the officer and he grabbed the officer's taser and he started running. And then he shot, according to, I'm looking at the video, he shot the officer with the taser as he was running. And then the officer, I guess it was two officers, I believe it was two officers, and one of the officers shot Raynard 3 times in efforts of trying to stop him because he stole the officer's taser and was shooting them, trying to shoot them with the taser. So in efforts to try to stop him, they shot him 3 times. Well, when I first, when I initially heard the story, I didn't see any video. When I initially heard the story, my first thought was, "Wow, they just want people to just tear that town up." I said, "Oh, they just want people to burn down Atlanta, tear the town up. They just, I guess they want that." That was my initial thought when I first heard about the story. But then after that, I seen the video. And so after I seen the video, I was a little bit on the fence about it. I was like, well, um, this situation is different than the George Floyd situation because George Floyd was, it appears in George Floyd's video, he was complying with the police officers. It didn't look like he was resisting arrest. It looks like he was trying to comply. It looks like he was asking some questions, which anybody would ask questions. But it didn't look like he was resisting, and so the officer didn't have the right to put his leg on his neck like that as long as he did. So this situation was completely different from the George Floyd situation. In this situation, the man appeared to be under the influence of something, drinking or something, and the officers appeared to be doing their job in the beginning, doing everything right. And he appeared to be complying, and all of a sudden he hits the officer, steals the officer's taser, and starts to run. Well, the officers got to stop you. If you steal an officer's gun or taser and you run, they have to do something to stop you. And so they shot him 3 times in the back. Well, everybody's upset because the officer shot him 3 times. And my thought was, okay, I get it that he stole the taser and he ran and y'all got to do something to stop him. But um, my thought was, okay, why shoot to kill? My question is, why shoot to kill? Why do they always have to use deadly force? I get it that they were trying to stop him, and they have to do something to try to stop him. Now, another question that comes to mind is if there were 2 officers, he stole the one officer's taser. Okay, didn't the other officer have a taser? The other officer could have grabbed his taser and shot him with the taser to stop him. Or they could have shot him in the leg, or they could have shot him in the foot to try to stop him. Maybe fire a warning shot first to scare him so that'll stop him. Or shoot him in the leg, or shoot him in the foot, or shoulder. Well, maybe the officers wasn't a good shot. I don't know, but I'm gonna assume that if you're a police officer, you done trained, and you're fully trained in how to shoot a gun, and to learn how to aim at targets correctly. I know it's a little hard to aim at a running target, but they know where his legs are, and they know, they know where his legs are. So my thought was, okay, why not? Why shoot him to kill? Shoot him in the behind, shoot him in the butt. You know, anything to stop him. The other officer could have used his taser, and I know the situation escalated and it happened really fast. But everybody, I think everybody's upset because of the fact that the officer shot him 3 times. They used deadly force. Why not just shoot him 1 time just to stop him, and then you could have went and apprehended him? So I think that's what everybody is upset about. And they winded up burning the Wendy's down, and it's everybody said, and I knew that was going to happen when I first initially heard the story. I was like, oh, they just want people to tear up Atlanta. I said they just want people to tear up the city. I don't want them to do that because I have family down there, and I don't want nothing bad to happen to my family. So people acting crazy, but I don't think it was. I don't think they should have burned down the restaurant, but that's. I guess that's to be expected, because of what times we're living in right now and what's going on right now in the world, in the country. I guess that's to be expected. But I'm on the fence about this one because, like I said, my question is, why use deadly force? Why not just shoot him in the leg or even shoot him in the butt, to stop him? And so I guess that's what everybody is struggling with. And I guess the officers got the police chief resigned. They say the police chief resigned. I guess he said, I'm gonna go ahead and just check on now. That kind of made me wonder, okay, why would the police chief go as far as to resign? And that kind of made me wonder, was he crooked to begin with? But I guess the other officer got fired or whatever. They have to take some kind of action, especially during this time, because the whole country's watching, on this one. So, but I want to know, hit me up in the comments section. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the police was in the wrong in the Rayshard Brooks shooting in Atlanta? Do you think that in this particular case, do you think that the police was in the wrong? What do you think the police could have done differently in the situation? I want to hit me up in the comment section, let me know. I was, like I said, initially I was like, I didn't know the whole story. And I was like, they just want people to tear up the city down there, do they? They just won't stop with this thing. But then after I looked at the video, I was like, okay. And so, okay, my thought is this. And they said that he was under the influence. I guess he was drinking, and that's my thought too. You know, the police officers knew that he was under the influence of something. They knew that he was drinking. They knew that he wasn't in his right mind. So why not just shoot him in a place? You know, if you had to shoot him to stop him, you know, shoot him in the foot or shoot him in the leg. I mean, you could shoot somebody in the leg and they could still die if they hit a major artery. You know, but I don't know, guys. I'm a little bit on the fence about this one. I mean, um, all I know is this. Um, I know my son got into a situation up here with the police. The police stopped him and his friends, and he didn't understand why the police was stopping him. And my son has a little bit of an anger problem, and he popped off at the police officer, and the police officer, um, they followed the proper procedure. Thank God. It could have been a whole lot worse, but thank God it wasn't. Um, in my son's case, the police officers did their job and they did what they were supposed to do, and my son got arrested. You know, he got arrested, and they said that he was resisting arrest. And my son got a little upset because he didn't understand why they were being stopped. I told my son, I had constantly been talking to my son before that about him being slower to anger, him watching his temper. I said, and I talked to him, and I told him about after the George Floyd situation. I talked to him. I said, now do you understand the situation that you got into the police? Do you now understand um, that could have been a deadly situation? Do you understand that? He said, yeah, Mom. I said, so you need to learn to be slow to anger. The Bible says we need to learn to be slow to anger. So I told my son, you need to learn to be slower to anger. When the cops stop you, you have to do whatever you have to do to comply. You can't go popping off at the police, babe. And I prayed, I thank God that it wasn't, in his case, thank God the police did what they were supposed to do. So, but I talked to my son as well because he was in the wrong. You know, I love my sons, but if you wrong, you wrong. Mama gonna tell you if you wrong. I love them, but if they wrong, I'm gonna let them know they wrong. And I'm gonna say, I told them, I said, baby, you were wrong. I said you should have complied. You should not have been popping off at the police officer. That could have been a deadly situation. They could have beat you up. They could have killed you. Thank God they didn't. You know, they just took him to jail. So hopefully next time in the future when my son, if he gets stopped again, hopefully I pray that he will contain his anger. So that's what my thought is. It's like um, when we get stopped by the police, we have to comply. Even if we feel like that time when I got racially profiled, I told that story on here a couple of times. To make a long story short, the police stopped me because they thought that me and my son had robbed my white neighbor's house. I was very upset, but I put my hands on the steering wheel and I remained calm and I didn't make any rash moves. But I did have an attitude, and I had the right to have an attitude because they were stopping me over something that I had nothing to do with. So I did have an attitude, but I kept my hands on the steering wheel and I remained calm. And so that's what you have to do. I got my license and everything that they needed as far as documentation. And that's what you have to do when you get stopped by the police. You have, even if you think that you're in the right, you got to remain calm and you have to comply with the police officers, especially being black out here. I kept my hands on that steering wheel and I remained calm, even though I had an attitude and I had the right to have an attitude because they didn't have the right to stop me like that. Profile basically was profile. And then accuse my son on top of that, which he wasn't even home at the time when it happened. So you have to comply. Black people, you've got to comply with the police officers. You can't go popping, like I told my son, you can't go popping off at the police. You got to comply with them. 9 times out of 10, most of the cops that I've been stopped by, I would say all of them, did their job. I complied with them in a lot of cases. I was friendly with them, and respectful. You got to talk to them with respect. You can't be talking to them any kind of way. I talk to the officers with respect, and I, especially if I'm in the wrong, and I know that there were times, couple times, I was riding dirty, as they say, and I didn't have my registration on the car like I should have. This last time, a few months ago, I got stopped for that reason, and I got stopped before for that, and they let me go. And but this time it had. I gotta admit, I'm wrong. It had been 6 months that I was riding around with no registration. My car wasn't legal. Okay, I'm guilty, and it had been 6 months. And so I told the officer, I thought that because it worked before. I said, well, I haven't had the money to get. He was looking at the fact. Okay, it's been 6 months. You had 6 months to get your money together to get this. There's no excuse. And he went on ahead and gave me a ticket, which he was in the right. So I remained calm. I talked to the officer with respect, and he wrote my ticket. And he said, get it taken care of as soon as you can. He went on about his business. I went on about my business. I didn't get belligerent with the police officer. I didn't get um, start popping off at the police officer, getting an attitude or all that, because I was in the wrong. He had every right to stop me because my stuff wasn't legal. I was in the wrong. So you just have to comply with the police. You got to talk to them with respect. You can't be popping off at them. Especially if you know you in the wrong. Stay tuned. I got a story to tell you about when I went to LA. I don't have time right now, but I got a story to tell you about that. When I went to LA, we got stopped by LA's finest. I don't have time to tell the story right now. But the important thing is that you got to remain calm, comply with the police officers. And then if you comply and you do everything you're supposed to do and they still kill you, in George Floyd's case, he complied. He complied. He did everything right. And they still killed him. So this is the reason why his family's going to get justice. And everybody is doing what they're doing. Because they know that was not justified for the police officer to do what he did. Everybody think that police officer, that it was personal. He had an axe to grind because he used to work with George Floyd. So that's what I say. But hit me up and let me know in the comment section what you guys think. What do you think? Do you, in that situation, do you think that, you know, what do you think? Hit me up in the comment section. Let me know. I gotta go grab something to eat. If you're new to my channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Peace and love. This is Sweet Jim.